It's time.
It's time.
And now, it's time for Herman and Sharron.
Love you. Thank
Hey,
you
everybody.
for joining us. How we appreciate you.
Yes, we do. I thought I was doing the show with myself there for a while because you weren't here.
I know. Hey, can you get a shot of Sharon's foot, Dave? Can you get a shot of her?
One time. You've already done it once.
Yeah, but we get a different audience. Look at that. Oh, there it is. Doesn't that look great? She has her toes painted, but you never know it. So she
I'm
has
tired of seeing my foot. You know, we're going to, air these shows later. And
she has a
I don't want
fracture.
everybody to know I've got. This is the last time we're going to talk about it, isn't it?
She's a very private person.
I am private.
Married to a loud mouth.
Tell it all kind of a guy.
That's right.
Well, we have a CPA here with us today. Huh? Kevin Cross.
This guy is so mathematically.
Yeah. Gifted.
Yeah, gifted. That's it.
Anyway, he founded and ran a successful tax practice.
Yeah.
Boy, tax. For 17 years, and is now the president of Cross Stewardship Ministries, an organization dedicated to radically teaching people how to do money God's way, which we all need.
And this is his. Look at that cover. Wow. Let's go over here and
Wow.
Embezzlement.
It's a cover. Looks like somebody's going to jail.
Okay, he's an expert
Hey, how are you, Kevin?
in what not to do. How are you?
Oh, I'm outstanding. Thank you for having me.
Well, we need this. We need honest people, right? Taking care of their money the right way.
Can you imagine? He says, I'm eternally indebted to my betrayer, the FBI and the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, and how can
That's weird.
Yeah, and you just, the people, I'm sure they're thinking, you got CPA on, we're clicking off today.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is a snooze
Yeah,
fest.
that's right. This is not snooze time, folks. You won't believe this.
Because you showed this
Yeah.
scandalous cover, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, is this guy,
Yeah.
what? And it says embezzlement? Wait,
Yeah.
Tell us the story. Did he just do it, or
What were you thinking at a police department?
Well, and can you imagine a kid who had his life ahead of him? He was gonna, most likely to whatever,
Yeah.
to succeed. And I was in love with something other than God, and it was money. And it was the pleasures of this world, it's stuff that I knew money could buy. I was gonna get it. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll study real hard. I'll get an accounting degree, then I'll go to law school, and I'll be this incredibly wealthy guy.
Yeah.
And I'll finally get my soul satisfied.
And God gave you that great mind. Do you realize that?
Oh,
That's right.
I mean, a phenomenal mind. Not everybody has your kind of mind.
And what about
So you
squandering it?
Yes.
I mean, I feel I was definitely the prodigal. I was definitely this kid who was given so much, and I thought, it's mine.
Yeah.
It's all mine.
Yeah.
Do whatever I want to. And down that road the money wasn't coming fast enough. I was a struggling student, starving
Yeah.
student.
Yeah.
And the credit cards back then, they didn't give you much as a starving student.
Yeah.
Nowadays, they'll give you plenty of credit
Oh,
cards.
yeah.
That's a whole nother
How many
story.
would you like?
Yeah, exactly. 8, your first week of school in college now. But back then it was a little more difficult, so it was hard to get money. And so I got a job. And starving students getting a job, what can they do? Maybe wait tables. I got a job working for the sheriff of Broward County. This guy was the flamboyant, he was like Wyatt Earp. This is the guy who taught Al Pacino how to act like a drug dealer in the awful movie Scarface.
Seriously?
Yes, the same guy. This guy, he would lead drug raids, gun in hand, his men behind him. He was like the Jack Bauer of sheriff, and I mean the real deal. And I got a job working for him. And I thought, okay, I'll get discovered. You see,
Because you wanted to be an FBI guy, didn't you?
I did. I wanted to be an FBI agent. And I thought, here's the struggle. I want to serve people as an FBI agent. Really, I just want to self-serve. I wanted to be this.
Prestige.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was hungry for it.
Yeah.
And growing up a Christian home too. And so there's no reason why this should have happened if you're just looking at it from a scientific standpoint, because he had a good background and his family was, brought him to church and he went to a Christian school. But I had a poverty of my soul. Mm-hmm. And so as I started working for the sheriff of Broward County, I decided, you know what? I want to make a name for myself. I'll show him. And so I started doing stuff that would get me discovered.
Now, what is the suspense accounts?
Well, the suspense accounts was what I was in charge of. You see, as his accountant, they put me in charge of balancing and reconciling all the boring stuff in life, right? All the stuff that puts you to sleep,
Yeah.
the bean counter does.
How an accountant can look at numbers 8 hours and come back the next day and look at it 8 hours. I don't know how you do that.
I'm sure there's people watching right now that go, I would just quit my job. I would enjoy quitting that job because that just sounds like misery.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people cut out for that.
I know.
And I thought, you know what, I was able to fast track, I thought, to getting some of that money. And so I was in charge of these suspense accounts. And it was stale money. Stale money, which is like an oxymoron, right? What's stale money? It's like, I have never met stale money.
But this count, as I understand it, kept building, and nobody even messed with it. It was just there. It was like a whole pile of $100 bills here, and tomorrow they're here. Next day somebody puts some more on there, and you and I then go, well, let's just take one of these. And the next day nobody says, hey, who took the $100 bill?
Exactly.
And then you reach in there and take another one, and nobody's checking.
And that's exactly what was happening. It just continued to build. And then all of a sudden it was like, you know what, nobody's going to miss it. You see those sins started to grow. And
even when they did their audits, you had that covered.
Well, and that fed my ego, because then I really thought,
I'm smart. Yeah.
I am the boy wonder. There is nothing I can't do. I am invincible.
Yeah.
And I was going down that path of just self-destruction and taking the money out and covering my tracks, called salami slicing. It's an embezzlement technique where you take small bits of money from several accounts.
It doesn't get their attention.
No, it's like rounding off the half a cent into your paycheck.
If you're doing this, why aren't other people doing it too?
Well, this was real creative. You know, you have to have access. You have to have somebody working with you.
Okay.
A lot of
And
the
they
environment
trusted you.
They trusted me.
Implicitly.
They really did.
Yes.
I mean, I was going to law school. I mean, my father worked for the sheriff also. And that's another thing. We don't realize how our sins have a ripple effect.
That's
how
right.
they are going to affect so many people. How we think, oh, it's victimless. It won't hurt anybody. And if I get, it's not good.
Well, the money was just there and nobody was using it.
Deception.
And I'm putting it to good use. Like I'm buying cars, I'm going to parties.
Yeah, all good, all wonderful stuff in my mind. Spending it on myself. And you see, here's how it started. I actually invested the money thinking I'll give them back to principal and I'll just take the gain.
Boy, that's been done a lot, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Where even churches have had people take some of the money and invest it, thinking, okay, I'll invest it, and when the profits come in, I'll keep the profits, and the principal stays.
Yes, and it's one of those concepts, well, you know what, I'm not hurting anybody. But what happens most of the time is the money goes south.
That's right.
But in my case, it went north. We made $50,000 virtually overnight.
On a stock?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, of course, then I wasn't contemplating, oh no, what do I do to get the principal back? I'm thinking, maybe I don't have to put the principal back. And it completely defies the deception that Satan plants in our hearts.
In fact, this is your statement. There was so much money coming in, I didn't know what to do with it all.
Yes. And I had to spend it as fast as I could. As fast as I could. And you know what, here's the thing. It is satisfying to spend money. I mean, there's people right now watching and they're going, well, you know what? It doesn't sound like, sin should be satisfying. It's satisfying for a season.
That's right.
It was satisfying for a night or for a weekend. But my heart was hungry then, and I had to keep going back to that source because it would wear off like a drug.
Yeah.